Bem-vindos a Portugal. Welcome to the Autódromo Internacional do Algarve. We are back for more after the spectacular first round in Jerez. It's time for the second round of the E4 Spanish Winter Championship. It's time to tackle this spectacular circuit down in the south coast of Portugal, a circuit that has had Formula One, a circuit that has had endurance racing, a circuit that has had many races in feeder series, and of course it is now the turn of the Spanish Winter Championship for the E4 class. We are going to be racing in a few minutes. We still have some time left, so we are taking it easy for the time being, but we have the usual suspects up in the top positions ready for this first race of the weekend of the smaller class, of the younger drivers, of these drivers who have less experience in single-seaters. Some of them do have experience from last year. There are also some interesting and promising rookies who will be showing some interesting moves on track, that's for sure. But we are, of course, talking about drivers such as Strauben, Przewalski, Eijkmans, Cantan, El Fegali. That is the order of our qualifying this morning. That is the drivers who are taking those first 5 positions. We are also going to have Nathan Tai in 6th place, Noah Monteiro, of course, the local hero, Portuguese driver and son of Tiago Monteiro, former Formula One driver, in that 3rd place in that historic North American United States Grand Prix in Indianapolis in 2005. Last podium finish for the Jordan Grand Prix. Of course, we also have that 8th place for Fiorentino, Van Bosch in 9th. Costa will be starting from 10th. And that will be only 10 of the 36 cars that we have on track this weekend. So we definitely have enough cars to keep us entertained. We know that this Circuito Internacional do Algarve is a very good place for exciting races. So with the E4 cars, with the F4 class machines, I think we have all the ingredients for a very, very good one. So now we just need to hope that the drivers will be cautious enough not to cause too many yellow flags, not too many safety car presences. You know that this has been a relatively common problem to this championship for the past few seasons. And of course, it is understandable. These drivers want to show the talent, they want to show the speed, they want to show what they are capable of. And so it is only natural that sometimes things will go wrong. Hopefully not too many times. So coming back after Jerez, we are having a situation where, as we were saying before with our friends in Euro Cup 3, the Polish fans have a lot to be happy about. Because if we have Maciej Gladisz in Euro Cup 3, we have Jan Przewalski in E4. This is, of course, the championship leader, Polish driver, and he's not the only one who is having an interesting run this year. We were watching just for a moment Ian Eijkmans, number 4 for KCL MP Motorsport, and we are going now to seeing that presence of Bogunovic starting further down the grid. That is number 36 from Kram Motorsport. Thomas Strauben, the pole sitter. One last good luck wish, of course, by the Griffin Core by Campos crew. And of course, the usual duel between Campos and MP Motorsport that is going to continue in this E4 Spanish Winter Championship. We've seen how it's the usual fight between them.
I introduce myself and I go with you. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
And we are looking at Miguel down the grid. Miguel, hello, welcome back. What can you tell us from the grid?
Yeah, here we are waiting for the start. The sun is come out and we're waiting the rest to start. Everything's gonna be super close. Taking a look for the pole position at the very first position, but also the girls in the right back, because we are close to their team, ART, and we want to talk with the team manager, Pierre. So, Pierre, welcome to the championship. Super close championship. Everything is super close. Fighting for the 10th.
Yeah, exactly. It's really close. It's quali. This morning was a bit tricky regarding the conditions, but yeah, it's like this. Now we have the race to fight back, basically, and our goal is to earn experience and yeah, do our best.
That's it. It's a championship to learn, and try to compete and try to get fit for the rest of the championship. Aurelie is racing with you, and also Leah Block. What do you expect on the girl side?
Basically, earn experience for the F1 Academy season. After, we will see for the rest of the year. But we are here, yeah, to fight with boys, fight with a lot of cars, to, yeah, earn experience with new tires, a new championship, and learn about the girls about like using different conditions, and yeah, it will be useful for the rest of the season after.
Pierre, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you.
That's the words on Pierre's side. We leave the grid with Leah Block, the girl who is racing with RT. The best of luck for them. The guys also trying to improve and do their best in the championship. So, leaving the grid, let's enjoy the race, Alex.
Thank you very much, Miguel Portillo from the grid, and we were listening to the words of Pierre Souillet from ART Grand Prix. Of course, the team that is fielding the double female presence this weekend with, as Miguel was saying very correctly, with that presence of Aurelia Noels and Leah Block, who will, of course, be taking part in the F1 Academy Championship this year. And, of course, ART, who have not yet discarded the possibility of taking part in the whole season, or at least in some select rounds that might not have some clashes with their own seasons. So, of course, we will have to see if that is going to happen. But for the time being, we know that this Spanish Winter Championship is a great place for drivers to learn, is a great place for drivers to get some much wanted and much needed mileage. And, of course, we are in a situation where the cars are already running, the formation lap is underway, and so soon we will be racing. So for the time being, we are watching if all cars are starting. We don't have any problem down back on the grid as we did in Euro Cup 3. So even though we are watching the order on the left side, that is the order of the starting grid, it's not yet the race underway. And so, checking that back again, we have Thomas Strauben from pole position, lining on the first row of the grid beside Jan Przybylski from also Griffin Corby Campos. So the Campos teammates on those first two positions, ahead of Ian Eggmans in third place, with Cantan fourth, Fegali in fifth place. Tie from sixth position, Monteiro, Fiorentino, Band, Pat Bosch, Costa Petrovic, Riba, Panetta, Stephen Hayden, Spina, Schaufler, Lammer, Strappa, Frankot, Bastarrica, Jacobi, Carras, Dobransky, Tuñón, Suslov, Lee, Carras, Campos, Novels, Felbermeyer, Block, Schwartz, Bogunovic, Anagnostiadis, Monarca, and Garduño from last place in 36. So we will have 36 cars on the grid. That is 9 more than Euro Cup 3. So it will be a pretty busy racetrack. But we do enjoy busy racetracks because that means we have a lot of hopeful drivers fighting for that future in motorsport. It's easy to connect with that goal. It's easy to connect with that objective and with those hopes and dreams that these young, promising stars of the future are trying to fight for. Back to the main straight in just a few seconds, but we will still have to wait a little bit because 36 cars on the grid take some time to get ready. Of course, we know that. But we will be looking forward to half an hour of racing plus one lap as it is tradition, as the regulation says. And so we are seeing the first cars from Campos standing on the grid. And it will be soon time for the race to start. We know that we have a lot of Polish fans following us on YouTube as well, so our greetings go for them, as well as all the watchers that we have from all over the world. And we look forward to enjoying together once again the first race of the weekend from E4 here in Portimão. The cars are getting on their positions, and that means it's time to get the action underway. Everything is set. We will have a green flag at the end of the grid. Once the marshal shows that green flag, that will mean that everything is prepared. There we go. And so, once the lights go out, we will be underway. Lights out then, and the race is going. We have a 1-2 from Campos, but I think that Thomas Strauben didn't have the best possible start. And he will be saving his face with that second position. But that was definitely not the best start we've ever seen from the Campos driver. There's still time though. And that was, I have to correct myself, that was Jan Brzozowski who didn't have the best start. It is Thomas Strauben who takes the lead ahead of his teammate with Ian Eggmans. Very, very close. We're watching them right now on third place. Ahead of El Fegali, Tai, Fiorentino, Petrovic, Monteiro, Costa and Riva. We have some contact already. And that is a very, very damaged car by number 22. Stephen Hayden's. That will be, no questions asked, a safety car. I am completely sure. That's also number 41, Stepan Suslov. And with two cars stranded here after the fifth corner, that is absolutely going to be a neutralized race. We're watching Jan Brzozowski defending that second place. He needs to do it, because once the safety car is out, those positions are locked. So now the safety car is technically out. I want to see who was ahead when they received the notification, because that might decide who gets to keep that second place. I think it's the Polish driver who's going to stay ahead for now. We'll have to see what race direction decides. But that was very unfortunate start of the race, definitely, for the number 22 Belgian driver, Yannick Stephen Haydens. And we're watching the replay of the start. Jan Brzozowski definitely didn't have the best getaway, but he was still barely able to defend that second place. A clean start at that point by Stephen Haydens, but that was risky, and that is exactly what happened. He was too aggressive on that attack, and there was nothing to be done at that point. Well, we know that drivers like to challenge each other on that VIP tower corner, the Torre VIP corner, down the hill, turn 5. But sometimes things don't quite go as they expected or as they hope. We still have the drivers inside the cars. And so I suspect that this is going to take a short while. Unfortunately, because we would like to see the race going, we like to see the drivers fighting on track, not behind the safety car, although we definitely appreciate the work done by the safety car driver, of course. And here we are watching that presence by Stepan Suslov. One of the retirements that we are going to have on this first lap of the race. Well, folks, I would advise having a little bit of patience. And as you know, strategy is key in motorsport. So if you're going to make a pit stop, if you're going to make a technical stop, maybe a bathroom break, Maybe you're going to get some snacks. Maybe you're going to get a drink. Well, that is probably the best moment to do it quickly, because we have a safety car on track, and so I think that's the best time. If you need a break, take it now before the action resumes, because at that point I think we are going to have an exciting one. We have seen in Euro Cup 3 that Portimão has everything we need to have a fantastic race. So once the action resumes, drivers are not going to give each other any space on track. For the time being, we just watch these poor two drivers. Suslov right now being shown, still inside the car. Stephen Hayden's on the other number 22 machine. And of course, this is the order on track. Strauben, Prisowski, Aikman, Selfegali, Tai, Fiorentino, Petrovic, Monteiro, Costa, and Lammers rounding that top 10. And well, we need to be patient while we wait for the rescue operations. The service vehicles towing that car away. This is a work that is always tricky to do, especially because these cars, yes, they can sustain big hits, but they do not like being mishandled in these situations. I have unfortunately seen in some cases, especially in pre-season testing, we have seen sometimes when marshals are not maybe that experienced, bashing the cars a bit more than they probably like to be bashed. But in any case, we are watching the number 22 machine being towed away safely. It's going to still take a little bit of time because they need to take two cars from that. So I would still calculate at least 5 or 6 minutes at the very least. We might see this race cut down, which is definitely very unfortunate, because that will mean that our race 1 will essentially become a sprint race in terms of race length. And this is, of course, one of the biggest challenges for these drivers, because they need to bring their heat down, but they need to be prepared to bring it back up as soon as they restart the race. This is something that we sometimes talk about with these drivers. And yes, of course, they will say they are always prepared to do it, because they need to say that. Even if they are nervous, even if they are hesitant, they need to tell you that they are not. Some of them, you know, they whisper it. They say, well, maybe yes, it's a bit stressful when you need to stop a neutralized race and then you need to go again. Some drivers are better than others at this. So this always presents some good opportunities for some of them to launch a surprise attack on those that are ahead of them. And we are having, of course, taking the chance to see some of the questions that are coming back to us. And we are being asked what is the difference between E3 and E4 class. And of course, the E4 machines are basically Formula 4 cars. These are the same cars that we will see in the Spanish Formula 4 Championship, while the E3, the Euro Cup 3 machines, are the Euro Cup 3 Championship machines, the same that we would see in the regular season next spring. And these are, in essence, a variation on the Formula Regional format in terms of technical class. We're seeing one of the TC cars. This is Santino Panetta, the Argentine driver, stopping at the pit lane to fix the nose cone of his car, or to change the nose cone of his car and be back on track, as we watch the replay of what happened there. Definitely some aggressive moves being dished out at the start of the race, as is common. And the team evaluating that damage, which doesn't seem to be too much. But sometimes if you are down the field, it might be better to be safe than sorry. And of course, we are waiting for that race to be restarted very quickly. the marshals have been taking care of that number 41 car from Stepan Suslov. And I think that we might soon have a race back on track, hopefully. Because we definitely want this to be back again. We want the action. We like to see the drivers on track, even if they are going slowly, but we definitely like them a lot more when they are pushing as much as they can. And well, look at this. We can see how the mechanics work on setting those front wings. This is not something that we usually see in clearly and closely as we have now. So this is always a nice thing, always interesting to watch the teamwork. And I think we might, if we are lucky, we might see a race restart next lap. That would put us at under 20 minutes of race. Yes, those are the marshals out of the track. So those are very good news. As we go back to that turn 5, now we are going through the regular corner. And so that means with this space cleared, I am very, very sure that once we go back on the next time we go back on the main straight, we will be back in action. And we have Miguel Portillo back from the pit lane. Miguel, what can you tell us from the pit lane?
Alex, here we go again. We're watching all the drivers, all the cars coming into the pit lane, working, changing the nose. We have seen a lot of action in this very first few moments. I mean, just in the briefing, they were talking to the drivers. Take care, especially with the blind side. Okay, go for inside of the line, fight side by side, whatever you want to do. But you have to work together to maintain on the track. Try to avoid that kind of situation. Any track limits, anything we can say into the track, unsportly, and if they have to go through the pit lane, or they have a punish during the action. If they have to, I would say, do a stop and go, they have to do it here at the end of the main straight of the pit lane. They have to go to that way, to the end, stop for a stop and go on 25 or 10 seconds or 25 seconds or any punishment they would receive. They have to go there. They don't have to do the stop and go in your position, in your box. It's at the end of the pit lane. So let's see the race. Hope we can see a green and a clean race after all.
Thank you very much, Miguel Portillo from the pit lane, and we are ready to go back again on green flag conditions, and that is what we wanted to see. We have had to wait a little bit more than we wanted, but the race is back on track, the race is back in action, and we are watching Thomas Strauben defending that first position, but we are also seeing Ian Eggmans trying to challenge Jan Prisowski for that second place. We have seen some contact already on the restart, and we will go back to that comment on the penalties that there might be for some drivers. But for the time being, we are focusing on the action on track because we knew that the restart would not let us breathe much. And we are watching Thomas Strauben going ahead of Prisowski, and we see also that usual challenge from Nathan Tai, who has been able to overtake Eggmans. And we have again on that turn 5 some contact, some drivers going beyond the track limits. Of course, we know that this is a race restart, so the stewards might be a little bit more lenient there. And we are seeing that change in order. And I am not sure what happened there with Jan Prisowski. We are watching him now. Jan Prisowski, who has clearly had some kind of issue. The number 23 Polish driver, who was in second place, and he is now down the field and far from the top positions, allowing Ian Eggmans and Christopher Elfegali to go up to the podium places. That was definitely not what the Polish driver by Griffin Kobay Campos wanted to have. We are watching him now. That is a definite surprise on that first lap. of the race restart. And over 2 seconds for Strauben on the rest of the drivers. This could break the race. And if there is no more safety car, that could be very, very good for Thomas Strauben. We are watching some images from the pit lane. And there's some debris on that braking area. That is not the best place for there to be some debris. I think there should be maybe a yellow flag or maybe even a safety car to allow a marshal to pick up that piece of carbon, because that could be very, very dangerous. And, well, we take this time to mention the penalty spaces that Miguel Portillo was mentioning. Great job there by the marshal. That was very important. And so, as Miguel Portillo was mentioning, the penalty space is rather at the end of the pit lane instead of at each of the team's box. So normally we would expect the penalties to be served at the end of that pit lane. We are watching then Thomas Strauben at the top of the table, 3 seconds away from his closest competitor. That's 3 seconds to Eijkmans. Well, I'm not going to be the one who's saying that Thomas Strauben has done his work already, but what's clear is that he's clearly ahead. More contact back. That's one of the Red Bull cars going back on track. That was pretty dangerous. That's Niklas Saufler, and there's been contact. That is going to be again another safety car. That was a messy crash that we saw there. Niklas Saufler, who was in contact, went out of the track, and without being able to stop his machine in time, he was back on the racing line. Bad damage on that Red Bull liveried car. And that is a nasty one. And I am absolutely, completely expecting us to have another safety car. I just do not see any situation where the race would not be neutralized. But in the meantime, drivers were trying their best to climb some more positions. And that is one of the TC cars, but I'm not sure that might be Bastarrica. That might be the number 88 machine from the... Yep, that would be the number 88 machine from Santiago Bastarrica. Well, that was definitely not what we wanted to see. We never like seeing crashes, but more than anything, we don't like seeing races interrupted. And that was the incident that caused that piece of carbon to be left on the racing line. And the fight's at the top. And I am hoping that we can see exactly what happened with Jan Przewalski, but that was the situation with Niklas Saufler, and no space at all for Bastarrica to avoid him. And that was the consequence of what happened. Very, very, very unfortunate for both of them. Any clear disappointment for Niklas Saufler, the Austrian driver of the number 10 KCL MP Motorsport machine. And this is Bastarrica. And so we are 12 minutes and 15 seconds plus 1 lap on the clock. And back with Miguel Portillo. Miguel, this has been quite a race so far, with a lot of troubles, a lot of crashes, and maybe more safety car time than we would have liked to see.
Try to go inside as soon as possible, or maybe too much inside. Let's see. We have to wait. We want to see them race until the end of the race, and maybe if you have an opportunity, you have to go for it. But you have to make it clear. I do not have a crystal ball, but I was saying to you, Alex, and to everybody, that we have seen three cars side by side. We can see them here in this track. It's 18-meter width. Okay, it's a modern track. We can see all of them side by side. But if you go deep inside, you have to make it clear. You have to realize you have space enough. Not also in the turn number 5. In the downhill, where we have seen other years that many contact and many class there, also where the class with sulfur have been, because it's a tricky one, it's a blind point. If you go together, you don't know exactly where the downhill is and when the uphill starts, and how do you have to go inside to keep the grid with your tires and to keep the inside line. So Sulfur was suffered this morning 3 position in the grid with for a contact during the qualifying, and here we saw him again out of the race. So what a pity, more contact. We want to see the cars close, but Alex, we have to take care for sure.
Exactly, and as they often say, when it rains, it pours, and that was definitely the case for Niklas Saufler, who suffered, as you were saying, this contact in qualifying, this penalty for that contact. And unfortunately, when you start in the middle of the pack, you know that well, Miguel, when you're starting from a difficult position, surrounded by cars, there is no way to avoid this kind of situation.
Yeah, there is. For example, in this track, we always try to explain that the pole position have to stay in the inside line if you want to defend the inside line. But it's also something that can make the grid super close all together in the very first moment of the race. That's why here in the Algarve Portimão track, the pole position is on the outside line, and you have only 400 meters to go inside of the turn 1 and try to the grid to spread out. So we want to see them all super close, but as much as they can have some space between them, more safety for everybody. Here in Formula and Eurocup 4, you have to make it clear. You can go the inside line. It's too easy to find the space, the slot to go in, but it's not a go-karting race. That's the difference, and we've seen in that kind of drivers, super young, most of them 16 years, most of them are also doing his very first race during this weekend. You cannot do the same movement. You are not in a go-kart. Okay, we are getting ready for the season. You have to try, you have to learn for sure, but one thing is the go-kart movement and one thing is the single-seater movement. So we are going to try to develop and try to grow up during this weekend. And for sure we are going to see some show.
Thank you very much, Miguel Portillo. I'll let you go to talk to our friend in the Spanish broadcast with Santi Torres, who will be waiting to hear from you as well. So we are watching now these drivers still gingerly going through the track, waiting for the time that they can go back in action. And as Miguel Portillo was saying, our man on the field, it is exactly as he said. These drivers come from karting. Some of them are starting their single-seater careers, and they are used to racing wheel-to-wheel, to having some minor contact, and the contact with single-seaters just doesn't work as well. And if you're driving very, very close to a rival, you know that you're taking a risk, and sometimes these risks do not pay off. Either way, we are watching these drivers patiently around this Circuito Autódromo do Algarve, and I am very sure that as they go slowly around this track, what they are thinking is, we wish to race properly. The two stranded cars of Saufler and Bastarrica, I think they are in a position where they might not be a danger. So if the safety car, perhaps next lap, decides to go out, we could have a restart. That would be a restart, because we do not see the safety car with the lights on. We do not see it holding the group. Thomas Strauben will be cursing his luck because he was 3 whole seconds away from his rivals. He knew that he had the advantage to go away and take the win, and unfortunately for him, a safety car made sure that his rivals have caught up. And we're back then on action. Green flag back in Portugal, green flag back in Portimão, and Ian Eggmans is trying to make sure that opportunity does not go wasted. There's also a challenge for third place. We are watching. Oh, that was a late braking. And that might be a little bit tense moment there between El Fegali and Monteiro, who is racing home, who wants to be the hero of his crowd, who wants to take a good position. And that is a spin by number 19. One that might be the machine by Campos. And turn number 5, we're finding 3 cars abreast, and perhaps even 4. As Miguel Portillo was saying, that is a very wide track at points. And so it is no wonder that these drivers try their best to make use of that space. At the top, Strowman keeps first place ahead of Aikmans and Fegani. Monteiro, we're watching him now. Lammers, Fiorentino, Costa, Spina, Francot, and Trappa closing that top 10. Trappa, who's doing a very, very good recovery as well. And he will want to try and get those points, because that challenger group is definitely not one where you want to joke around, because the differences are very, very narrow. We are also watching those side by side here in those challenger groups, where every meter counts. At the top, we're watching them now. Thomas Strowman, 0.7 of a second ahead of Jan Aikmans, with El Fegali in third place. And this is one of the stranded machines from earlier. That was number 41 from Stepan Suslov, being wheeled back into the pit lane. And taking advantage of the slipstream, one of the cars from behind, I couldn't quite tell who it was. And in any case, this has been quite a race so far, with problems for drivers such as Jan Przewalski, Nathan Tye. These should have been 2 drivers that should have been at the top of the table right now, should have been at the podium, in the podium fight. Unfortunately, well, they had certain situations, both of them, and they are out of the race. And we have another contact. That is number 2 machine and number 14. We are talking about Vivek Cantan and Jean-Paul Carras, Campos and Santelok drivers. They were fighting for the top 15. And so, well, the French-Greek driver is going to be stranded on the track. And there is the 3rd safety car of the race. And I highly, highly, highly suspect that with 3 minutes plus 1 lap on the clock, that might be the end of the race. I do not think that there will be time for the race to be restarted. Of course, we have to let that time run in case that there is a miracle, perhaps. Well, there could be a situation where the safety car tries to be a little bit cheeky and do one of those laps very slowly after the time has run out, because that might be enough to ensure that the race can be restarted. But it will be, if it happens, very, very close. I suspect that it doesn't look very likely. But we're watching also the work on the MP Motorsport garage. That is the work on the number 22 car of Stephen Hayden's. That was very, very unfortunate start of the race for the Belgian driver. And the whole group that is now doing the shorter version of that turn 5. Because, of course, we have 2 more stranded cars on track again. And this has been the story of this race so far, because we have had 3 big enough incidents that we have spent, to be frank, most of the race behind the safety car. But that is not definitely what we enjoy. But such is motorsport sometimes. This is what happens when you put 33 hopeful and promising drivers who want to fight for their futures and who are definitely eager to go ahead with their careers. Safety car still on track, 1 minute and 5 seconds on the clock. And I definitely don't think that we have a race in our hands now. We will not have enough time for that. And so we will have to look at that current classification as what should be the final result of the race. That will mean that Thomas Strauben is going to be taking the win, coming out of that first weekend in Jerez, where he finished second on the first race, fourth on the last race of the weekend. The Belgian driver currently fifth in the standings. So we have our third winner in just 4 races, definitely showing how tight the field is in this E4 Spanish Winter Championship. The work by the marshals continues on. This Autódromo Internacional do Algarve, as the time reaches 0, and that will mean that we only have 2 more laps left on this race. So just for the avoidance of doubt, once we get back to the main straight, if the safety car continues on, which will most assuredly do, that will mean the race will finish under the safety car. Well, that has certainly been a pretty surprising start to the 2025 round 2 of the E4 Spanish Winter Championship here in Portimão. We would have liked to see more racing, but here's the good news: we have 2 more races this weekend. We have a sprint race today, later this afternoon, and we have, of course, the second feature race tomorrow. So for those who are missing a little bit of the racing fix, worry not, because we will have more of it today and more of it tomorrow. Hopefully with less safety car and with more track action, as we like to see. So safety car stays on as we enter the final lap. So we will not have a race restart. This has been definitely an unfortunate start of the weekend for the E4 Spanish Winter Championship. We were hoping to see a little bit more action. In the end, we have seen a total of 14 laps, but most of them have been under safety car conditions. And as we're on the last lap, approaching the last few corners of the frankly quite spectacular Portimão circuit, I can only think of what could have been if we didn't have these clashes on track that have robbed us of what should have been a very, very exciting race 1. But if there is one person who will be very happy about this, that will be Thomas Strauben, who at one point had 3-second advantage over second place Ian Eggmans, but was under threat on the last restart and could have had a bit more of a challenging end to the race, if not for the safety car. Well, as they say, it is what it is. We are watching the last few corners in this first race in Spanish Formula 4. We are going to see Thomas Strauben cross the finish line as the race winner here in Portimão. So that is a first win of the season for the Belgian driver, ahead of Ian Eggmans and Christopher El Fegali. So congratulations to all the Belgian fans who will enjoy a 1-2 for their own drivers. Not teammates, but yes, countrymen. Good job by Thomas Strauben, who kept his cool even under threat by his rivals. Ian Eggman second place. Christopher Fegali will complete the podium. Noah Monteiro just in fourth place. He would have liked that chance to fight for that P3, which in all honesty might have been a real option. He was definitely attempting that overtake before the safety car came out. We also have René Lammers, another famous surname, rounding out the top 5 ahead of Fiorentino, Francot, Spina, Costa and Trapa. So we have a healthy Latin American presence in that points-paying area, with the Brazilian Fiorentino in that 6th place, with Trapa in that 10th position with Costa. Also 9th, Miguel Costa, driver that we know is definitely capable of a lot. So keep an eye on the Brazilian, because coming from karting, he has shown to be a very, very talented star of the future. But as we know, a debut season is always tricky. So cool down lap by these boys and girls. Well, I'm not sure there is much to cool down, because they have been forced to stay quite cool during this race. Back to the pillion it is for these drivers. Slow down, slow down. And to the park frame for the number 99, number 4 and number 33 machines. That is Thomas Strauben. We're watching him right now. On the left are your images, Ian Eggmans, and on the right, Christopher El Fegali with that very familiar number 33 on a Red Bull Liberty car. And he draws the string, he locks the arrow, and he takes the win. That's Thomas Strauben winning the race and celebrating with the team. A hug with the people, and a very, very happy Griffin Core Bike Campos team. And soon we will have the transcript here from our race winner, as he is congratulated also by Noah Monteiro, his teammate, very sportingly. Well, we can see that he's definitely not very, very concerned. Thomas Strauben, we will be hearing from him in just a few seconds. We're down with Miguel Portillo. Thank you, Miguel. We're down with you and listening to the race winner.
He made it, Thomas, congratulations. It was a tricky race, stop and go, but finally you got the patience enough to do it.
Yeah, it was a tricky race with all the safety cars, because with the long straight it's really hard to manage the slipstream. But we managed it quite well. Only the second one was a bit tricky. Unfortunately we didn't go racing again, but yeah, a really nice race. The pace was also there, quite consistent, and yeah, I think I managed it quite well.
What about the track? You're doing very well on your side with wet condition, dry condition, and also the circuit is a tricky one with ups and downs, a roller coaster.
Yeah, in the wet, I was testing here a few weeks ago, so in the wet it was quite good, because also in the week where I was testing here was quite good. In the dry yesterday, we were still improving ourselves and finding some things, and yeah, we got brought to the point, and now I think we are ready to race.
Perfect, congratulations.
Thank you.
We are ready to race. That is what Thomas Strauben is saying. And I can understand that feeling very, very well. Because, yes, he won the first race of the weekend. But was that a race even? I need to call it a race. But that is clear that these drivers were not particularly stressed out about it. Because it was a sprint race. Or a very sprint race one anyway. So, of course, we are watching the race winner. He has done a very, very good job on the very few laps that we had as proper racing action. But he has earned that win, and he will take the points. That will be, for sure, a very happy moment for him. Miguel Portillo, definitely not what we were expecting. We would have liked to see more green flag, let's say, laps. But these drivers, they're professional, even though they're very young, and they do what they are told. It doesn't matter if it's green flag, it doesn't matter if it's safety car. They do what they know best, and they take the points.
For sure, they have to fight till the end of the race, even if you have a safety car, even if you have to defend, to attack, whatever. That's what they have to do. They have to try to manage every situation. Noah did it quite well. 4th position for him. Good recovery, starting in the middle of the package. And in the reverse grid, he's going to have another chance because he will be again in the middle of the package. And maybe he has a chance to go and to jump into the podium. So I'll say there's a guy to follow him. Also El Fegali with the number 33. Number 33 with Red Bull is not Max Verstappen. It's El Fegali, our El Fegali in this championship. I think we have 2 guys here. We have to follow up for the rest of the weekend for sure.
Absolutely, as you said, these are guys that we have to follow for the rest of the weekend. And especially with that sprint race coming up later, I think we have all the ingredients. Hopefully for an exciting race, and one that, if we can cross our fingers, one that will not have any presence of the safety car. This is something that drivers know. They know that this is a challenge. They know that this is something that happens on almost every race. So they need to strategize around it. Do you think, Miguel, that some drivers will maybe take used tires on this sprint race because they know that they will not have to push a lot or for many laps?
Alex, you were talking about the...
Yes, I was saying, I think drivers... Yeah.
Some of them were trying to take care of their tires. Some of them were trying to realize if they have another punch at the end of the race. I remember that they have 3 sets of dry tires, slicks for the whole weekend. Maybe because they have not pushed a lot in the last part of the race, maybe we are going to see new tires for the sprint race, and that's going to be super exciting. Because if we have slicks and new tires, they can push. If they have used tires, they have to take care and to manage the situation. So everything happened in the race 1 is going to affect the next one in the sprint. So take care of that, because Alex is going to be super interesting.
Exactly, Miguel. Thank you very much for your support, as always, during the this first race of the weekend here from the trackside. Thank you, Miguel Portillo. We'll let you go back to Santi Torres as well to join the Spanish broadcast as we see the podium starting to get ready. And as Miguel said, and this is very important, everything that happened here will have an effect both on the sprint race this afternoon, on the race 2 tomorrow, and of course on the qualifying session, because drivers will have maybe a little bit less used tires, so they might be able to take a bit more of a risk this afternoon, or for the still long Sunday ahead of them, because they will have one qualifying session and one of the long races. The podium is getting ready for these top 3 drivers that have earned his position there despite the difficulties. Thomas Strauben, Ian Eggmans, and Christopher El Fegali getting ready to stand on the wooden boxes as they have earned the prize and the trophy and the points. They will be, I think, most happy about the silverware, but of course, taking some points back home is always a good thing, especially considering that there is a championship to be fought for this Spanish Winter Championship, which is, by the way, this weekend the last time that we will see both categories, Euro Cup 3 and Spanish Winter Championship, sharing the track, since the next time out Formula 4 cars, the E4, will go by themselves in Navarra before the Euro Cup 3 finishes the Spanish Winter Championship in Motorland in Aragon in the same weekend where the Spanish Formula 4 Championship will be starting its regular season. So this will be the last weekend here in Portugal where we see both categories of the Spanish Winter Championship sharing the track. So it is, of course, always nice to have these 6 races a weekend. We know that you like races. We know that you like to see the most possible time on track for these drivers, and if we can, the most possible green flag conditions. We're seeing the team representative by Campos going on the podium, and of course Christopher Fegali on that P3, as Miguel Portillo was also joking, as I like to do, that number 33 on that Red Bull Livery car. And the first 2 place drivers, Ian Eggmans, and the winner of this race, we have seen him being more than capable, Thomas Strauben. In his honor, we will hear the Belgian anthem. Very, very deserved top 3 by Thomas Strauben, Ian Eggmans, and Christopher Fegali. They have been the fastest drivers while avoiding all these contacts that have been appearing perhaps a bit too often in this first race of the weekend. Trophy for the team as well, and now trophies for these 3 young stars, these 3 young drivers, starting from Christopher Fegali, the Lebanese driver, in this 3rd place, the Red Bull supported driver, of course, doing a good job so far in this Spanish Winter Championship. 3rd place today behind Ian Eggmans, also quite aggressive. He was attempting his fight on some of the restarts, but nobody could stop Thomas Strauben today, and he takes that first win of the weekend. He will try again on that sprint race, although we have to remember that that will have a reverse grid, and he will have another chance tomorrow to keep taking good results with more silverware available and more points to take back home. A picture to show back to the family, a picture to keep in the album, and to say, well, that day in Portimão I won and I celebrated, of course, as they have to do. And the classic bumping on the podium to cause all the spray to go out. And from our side, it's time to be taking a small break. But as we like to say, don't go too far, because we still have 2 more races today. The sprint race for Euro Cup 3 and the sprint race for E4 this afternoon. Because, you know, in winter, racing doesn't stop, and we make sure that we can bring it to you, in this case, from Portimão in the Portuguese Algarve. Don't go too far. Enjoy your time, but especially keep an eye on us, because we have 2 more sprint races today, this afternoon, from Portimão. See you later.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins, can't relax. Original, I am not the same as these cats. I sting them if they never ever mindin' they beeswax. I don't ever cap, but I'm wearing like 3 hats. Never been a rat, but I know where the cheese at. You'll never get a trophy cause they all here where we at. You better believe that. When it's all said and done, I'll still be here standing. Never took a loss and it ain't something that I'm planning. I dare you to say something. My focus is A1. Every dog has his day, it's been